wanted to welcome you back to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
And you were recently involved with a little bit of an imbroglio with the popular Jewish matchmaking site Saw You at Sinai, and you were canceled from the website. For those who haven't heard about it, I listened to your podcast. I saw the post that you put up, but can you briefly share with us what happened?
So basically, last Monday, I received a one-sentence email. It should have been 2 sentences, but the person who wrote it obviously does not know basic grammar. And he or she wrote, "We are unable to service you. We have refunded your membership in full. Our best wishes, the Saw You at Sinai team." Well, that's a bit strange to suddenly be kicked off a shidduch website without explanation. So I emailed Saw You at Sinai asking for an explanation. I received none. I asked 3 times over 2 days or so. I then wrote a 4th time. I said, look, there's only one possible explanation for my ban, which is January 6th. Basically, for those who don't know, I was involved in the activities of those days. I was arrested of that day. I was arrested in March by the FBI. And I added that to my shidduch profile. It's the only thing that I changed about my shidduch profile. I've had it up there for a long time. And I changed it basically because I wanted to get more appropriate matches. I only wanted, if you, like I give my example, my podcast. If you live in Hebron, a lot of girls are not going to go out with you because you're a certain type of person if you're living in Hebron. So I wanted to limit the number of girls who will be sent to me because you know very well, Rabbi Weissman, that on these shidduch websites, you get 1 million resumes from 1 million different girls. It doesn't make a difference if the girls have anything in common with you at all or not. Shadchanim just throw these resumes at you, or a lot of them do anyways. So I figured, look, maybe this way I'll get more appropriate girls. And also, I just thought it was only proper for a girl to know that if she meets me and wants to marry me and I want to marry her, that I might have to spend some time in jail shortly after our marriage. I mean, God willing not, but there's a very real possibility that I will have to spend some time in jail. So I just thought it would be nice to let the girl know that in advance before she says yes and we start going on a date. Okay, so that's what I added to my profile, my shidduch resume, and I wrote to Saw You at Sinai one last time, I think like 2 days after I received that initial email saying, look, I've written to you 3 times. I left a message on your machine. I've had other people, well, I didn't tell that to them, but I had other people try to contact Saw You at Sinai, including a shadchan at Saw You at Sinai. I had a friendly reporter write to Saw You at Sinai. I had many avenues writing to them to make sure 100% that it was January 6th. And then I said, look, I'm pretty certain now it's January 6th. There's nothing else it could possibly be. I find this outrageous. And unless you tell me that a terrible mistake has been made, I'm going to go public, which is what I then did. I had in my podcast, I publicized it to various contacts. There was a story written on JNS, and that's what all happened last week. There was an update this week, which I could give to you if you'd like, but that was
okay. So first of all, it should come as no surprise that a matchmaking website, which is, I guess, the mentality of matchmakers, doesn't get back to people. I mean, that's sort of par for the course. But again, you were a paying customer on and off for 15 years, so you're a longtime member of this website. I think that we should expect some sort of better treatment from somebody who's given them a great deal of money over the years. And I did see somebody shared with me a letter that they finally put out, which is very interesting, that they didn't get back to you, the longtime paying customer, but when they felt some measure of public pressure, then suddenly they felt compelled to come out with a response. I mean, that enough is very troublesome.
Yes, of course. Well, I mean, actually, on Friday, they had sent an email to a reporter saying, "Oh, most of our team is busy. Is on vacation this week. We'll look into it and get back to you when we get back from the long vacation weekend." So thank you. So I mean, you're going to wait like 9 days to tell me why I've been banned from a website. And some shaka from Saw You at Sinai, a nice lady, she said to me, "Oh, could you wait?" I said, so obviously someone was on the team to send me that email on Monday afternoon, and the whole thing's ridiculous. Anyways, the email they finally sent out on Monday, the statement they sent out to the public was that I'm basically a physical threat to women. They said anyone who's been accused and arrested for physical assault, sexual assault. I love how they add that in there, sexual assault. I'm in the same category. Basically, I'm gonna be raping and groping women now. So anyone who's been charged and arrested for these things, we have to boot from the site because we need to protect the women, young ladies on this website from dangerous people like me. And of course, it is utterly absurd, and it's a lie. It's an obvious lie because he said it has nothing to do with politics. He would never ban somebody for politics. Okay, so let's not talk about politics here. Let's pretend it was not a January 6th event. It was some regular protest. Maybe it was a protest like a union workers protest, or maybe an environmental protest. And as part of the protest, there was a policeman spraying somebody with pepper spray, or they call it chemical irritant, some sort of version of pepper spray. And after a while, I just kind of like, he's spraying people, he's hurting people. And so basically I grabbed the policeman's wrist for 2.5 seconds. You see me on video doing this. You see me grabbing a guy's hand for 2.5 seconds to protect other people from being sprayed. Now, I don't want to get into January 6th. It's very possible that I committed a terrible legal crime, a terrible national crime. You know, you could say all that, but you're claiming it has nothing to do with January 6th. Okay, so if you leave all the context out of it, my violence was that I grabbed a policeman's hand for 2.5 seconds. You cannot be a sentient being and possibly conclude from that I am a violent person. That is utterly absurd, and he knows it's utterly absurd. He's just lying through his teeth. And so that's what they're claiming now. They're claiming they banned me because I'm a danger to women.
Right. And this, in my opinion, anyway, is actually worse. Like if he came out and said that you're some Trump supporter and we don't like Trump supporters or we don't like people who go to protest in the Capitol, I think that's less damaging to your character than insinuating that you're a violent person and a danger to people that you might be fixed up on dates with. I think that's actually worse.
Yeah, it's a disgusting calumny and an attack on my character. And again, I don't think he believes a word that he said, but this is par for the course for these type of people.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because I was looking at a copy of that public statement that they put out, and it said anybody who was arrested and charged with one of these violent types of crimes. Now, we know, first of all, the fact that somebody is arrested and charged with something doesn't mean that they're guilty of actually having done it. Certainly innocent until proven guilty. That's first of all. Even if they are found guilty of doing it, it doesn't necessarily mean that they did it. We know the court system gets things wrong and that they're not really trustworthy in general. Somebody can be convicted of a crime and actually be innocent of it. Even if they're guilty of the crime and they actually did it, you have to take into account certain context, right? And the fact is also, if a Jew lived, let's say, in Nazi Germany, and he reacted violently to the, fight back against the Nazis would actually be the bad person, not the good person. There are times where a person should be violent, and that's the moral thing to do. So you have to take everything in context. But for them to merely say the fact that you were arrested and charged with any form of violent crime, which could be very, very minimal. It could be a police officer is trying to arrest you and you are resisting the arrest in a fairly passive way, but they can still count that as violence. That doesn't turn you into a sexual predator or a wife beater. And yet that's essentially what they're slandering you as.
Right. And also, I mean, again, let's leave out the political context. If you were a girl, would you rather be married to somebody who stands by silently while people are being attacked with chemical spray? Or would you rather be married to somebody who actually sees people being sprayed by something and tries to stop it? Again, let's leave the political context out of it. Like, who would you rather be married to?
I would even take that a step further. If you are a woman, do you want to marry a man who will be willing to stand up for you physically if necessary? Or will he be a passive, meek person who's afraid of authority and won't stand up for his wife and children? If things really come crashing down, is he going to stand there and stand up for them, or is he going to be weak?
Right, and again, and I think it's so obvious that just it's cancel culture, because again, if you were a mensch, if that was really the reason, you would write that in the original email. You know, we love, like you said, I didn't even think about that, but you've been a customer for 15 years. We so value you. Unfortunately, you've been arrested, and even though you haven't been found guilty, we have a very higher standard. Elliot Resnick, we believe you're guilty before you actually tried in a court of law, and give me an explanation. You don't cancel somebody, leave them without an explanation for 9 days, unless it's obviously political, which is what
they have a statement on the bottom of their website which reads as follows: "We do not conduct background checks on members of our websites. Safety is a top priority. Therefore, we urge all members to act in a manner to ensure their safety while dating both online and offline." In other words, they have sort of a hands-off approach. Like, they urge people to be cautious and responsible, which is obvious, should be self-understood. But they're saying, we can't investigate people. It's not our job to do character background checks. It's up to you. And yet in this case, they went after you.
Right. And also, I should point out, Elliot Resnick services Reform Jews, conservative Jews. Traditionally speaking, in Jewish tradition in the last 3,000 years, if you violate Shabbos in public, it's called, in Hebrew, Mechalel Shabbos B'far Hestia. That is one of the worst possible sins you could commit. But as usual, leftists have only tolerance for people on the left and no tolerance for people on the right. I'm not saying you shouldn't set up Reform Jews, but as Jews, we should operate based on Jewish values. In the Jewish hierarchy of values, breaking Shabbos, eating not kosher are grave, grave sins. If you let people like that on your site, and you set people up like that, and they even ask questions, are you willing to cover your hair after you're married? Well, and you say no, and a lot of people say, no, I'm not willing to cover my hair after I'm married. So you're publicly acknowledging that I'm basically not going to keep halacha, according to 99% of poskim. That's a little bit of a grave statement, don't you think? And yet they service those people. So if you're going to be extremely and super tolerant to people on the left, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be tolerant on a shidduch website, but then you have to be people on the right also, and it's a shidduch website again. This is not an ideological yeshiva. This is a shidduch website. You're setting up people for marriage. This is a private database also. I was let go from the Jewish press, as you well know, for being in the Capitol on January 6th. And I was disappointed, but at least you could say the Jewish press had a financial interest because I'm the face of the company and they're scared of losing government advertisements if I continue being the face of the company. Saluyot Sinai is a private shidduch website. No one knows I'm on there. Saluyot Sinai has nothing to lose. There's no public pressure. This is just pure vindictiveness, pure evil, really, I think.
Yeah, I would take it a step further and say that even if somebody was convicted of a crime like this, he still has a right to be married. If he's not hiding, if he's saying, I did this in my past, I had a violent incident, I believe that violence was just justified in the moral thing to do, but be that as it may, he's upfront about his history. That person has a right to get married. That person still has a mitzvah to get married. We have an obligation to help him. Again, he's not trying to hide anything or cover up for it. And a shidduch website shouldn't be making value judgments on who is suitable to get married and who isn't.
Right, and getting married is one of the biggest mitzvahs you could possibly do. Setting up somebody for marriage traditionally is considered one of the best merits you could possibly have. It's a huge mitzvah. And like you said, I don't deserve not to get married because I was in the Capitol on January 6th. It's utterly absurd. It's, if you break Shabbos in public, that's beautiful. If you have a ham sandwich in public, I said on my podcast, what did I do to deserve to be canceled? Did I violate Shabbos in public? And then I thought to myself afterwards, the irony is that if I had publicly violated Shabbos, I got on YouTube and said, I'm a Jew and I'm making this video on Shabbos because I don't care. I don't think God exists, God forbid, and I'm breaking Shabbos. I wouldn't have been canceled. I would have been allowed to stay on Saluyot Sinai. It's only because I was in the Capitol on January 6th that I'm uniquely evil and I have to be canceled. I do not deserve to be married. No one deserves to help set me up.
Let me ask you, when they came out with the public statement, did they also contact you personally, or did they only issue the public statement?
No, no. I first heard the public statement from somebody else.
So they didn't even say. So they're only answering to the public. They're not even talking to you.
No.
That's very interesting. And you've
given
them
somebody,
a lot of money. Yeah.
And there's somebody who's answering now people on Saluyot Sinai's behalf. Mike Cohen, I think is his name or something. And he's answering in a very friendly, nice type of way, writing these long emails. I've read them twice or three times now because I have no idea what he's saying. He just types a bunch of words and is trying to sound very friendly. He actually doesn't explain anything. And he's writing to all these people, it was a decision reached with a posek, and if this is not explanatory enough, I'll be happy to explain it again. But he wrote this to other people. He didn't dare write to me. And when I finally wrote to him yesterday in the morning, you think he answered me? No, of course not.